please don't wake me from this.
What's going on, legends? LGG Alden here. Hope you guys are doing fantastic today. We're back with episode 6 of our Game Maker Studios top-down game tutorial series. This time we're going to be working on a bit of a menu, so such as basic buttons and simple things like that. Also, we're going to work on a setup, like an initializing thing for the game so that it sets up prior to it. It'll be a lot easier to edit variables and a lot of stuff like that. Last time we worked on the enemy projection in episode 5.5, and next time I believe we're going to start working on items and objects. So that'll get really complex. For now, this is a very simple concept, which shouldn't be too hard to master. So let's get right into it. So starting this off, we're going to have 2 buttons. I already have the sprites created. You can name them whatever you want. They're just going to be the simple buttons for the play and quit. Now, they can be any shape, any size, anything. It doesn't matter. That's completely up to you. I just have them as this because it's simple and it's not meant to be too complicated. But you, like I said, put it to whatever you want. Now we're actually going to create the button. So you're going to need a brand new object. Now you can name this whatever you want. I'm just going to put the exact same name as the sprite with the OBJ prefix, of course. Make sure to set the sprite. So this one's going to be the play button. Now, the way you want these to work is you want it to be so when it's clicked. So you're going to do mouse and then just left press. So that's when you just left click the button. You want it to do something. So the way we're actually going to have this work is we're going to run a script in here. In this script, you're going to want to go room_go_to. And then this is where we're actually going to go into the map. So our map as of now is just rm_test. So whatever yours is for the map, go ahead and put it there. Now eventually, of course, in later series, we will probably go more in depth with what if you have multiple maps and all that crazy stuff. But we're keeping it simple, so it's just going to stick with just the one room that we have. So when you press it, it goes to that room. Now, the next thing is you just want to duplicate this. So duplicate this button, name it whatever for your quit button. Now, you can make buttons to do whatever. These are just 2 very simple buttons that we're going to have. Make sure to set the sprite as well. But in this one, instead of room go to, you're going to do game_ and then end. So basically, when you quit the game, it just closes out of it and it's done. So we're actually going to need a room to run this. So what you can do, now this is completely up to you, and room sizes are based on a lot of stuff, so it's important. Like our room size for test is this big. So what we can do is we can actually duplicate this. Now you can do it however, if you kept it the default size, you don't have to duplicate it. I'm just choosing to. So if you you can actually clear out this entire room if you are choosing to copy it. This is only if, like, say you have a certain sized room. So you need it special like that. But whatever, you can name this whatever you want it to be. I'm just going to name it menu, just because, actually RM menu, just to keep in track with the prefixes and all that stuff. So you can go ahead and put your actual buttons in here wherever you want them. That's just how they'll appear on the screen. And then one last thing we're actually, we'll run this. We'll run this first, guys, and then I'll show you guys the initializing stuff. So go ahead and test this out. So here we go, guys. If I click play, it takes me straight to the room where we left off and all that. And then if I was to close out of it and run it again quickly, you'll see that the quit button also closes out of it too. So if I press quit, it's gone. One other thing, guys, make sure that you have the menu above the test. Now, the way Game Maker runs this stuff, guys, is so that whatever room comes first in the list of rooms, or like in the index of rooms, it will run that one first. So you might be getting the issue, hey, I can't find the menu. Make sure that the menu is above the test or whatever your map, so that it runs the menu first. Now we're going to work on initializing. So initializing, the whole point in this is so that we can keep all the variables in one place, and it'll actually save the game and help a little bit better from like preventing crashing and different things, because you always occasionally get the issue where this variable wasn't set up before using it. So that's always because if, say, you're running something and it's out of order, it doesn't run fast enough, or speed-wise or timeline-wise, it just doesn't run first, and it causes a crash. So you don't want that, and a good way to prevent that is initializing. So we're going to create an object, and we'll just call it object init game, initializing init, same thing, whatever. And in there, you're going to want to run a create event. So this is just going to run once because that's all we needed to do. You're going to want to run a script. Now, we haven't created it yet, but we're going to do scr init game. So this is going to initialize everything. Whoops, make sure it's like that. So you can copy the name if you want to do it simple, and then we're going to create the actual script object. So go ahead and make sure it has the exact same name. Now, in here is where we're going to get a little more in depth. So go ahead and go into the player. Now, this is where you can take all of these exact variables right here, and you can set them because these are global variables. So we're actually going to comment it. So we'll do player, just so we know this is part of the player. Now, I don't know if we actually have enemy global. No, we do not. So the enemy doesn't get global. You can actually just look around if you want. Find anything. I don't think we have a lot of global variables. Really, we don't. All of it's based on the player, I'm pretty sure. So if you find anything else, feel free to put it in here. This is where you can, though. So you could set up, like, to give a little bit of an example, if you go back into like the enemy, you can set it up so that, like, oh, you want the health of the enemy to something, right? So all you have to do is just, you would take the health, you would make a global variable for it, and then you would just set the HTLH equal to whatever global variable you want it to be. So like, say it's global dot enemy health. So you just name it that. You would create the enemy health in here, set it to whatever you wanted it to, and then just make sure that runs it like that. So you can get as complicated as you want, as complex, and as many of these as you want. You could even separate this init game so that it's more in depth based on player and all these other things. But since we don't have a lot, we don't really need to over accessorize and get too complicated where it becomes really hard. So that works perfect, and that's fine for our init game script. Before we can run it again, go back into the menu, and you're actually going to want to place the object that you just made, the init game, except that is not our init game. Whoops. Let's see, there we go. So right here, go ahead and place it wherever, it'll run it no matter what, and then you can actually go ahead and test it. Now, if you don't get any errors, that means that it's all running fine, and it actually runs it. So as you can see, we don't get any errors, which means you guys shouldn't get errors, and if you do, like I said, comment those, or like I always say, and I will do my best to get back to you as soon as possible with an answer to it. So yeah, everything works fine, and that's the basis of it. That's how simple buttons are and how simple a menu is. Because using it, a menu doesn't really do a lot. Now, obviously, we eventually can get further in and we could do stats, you could do keybinds. I've actually figured out a lot of cool stuff for that. And I'm already starting to plan how we're going to do the next series for like series 2. That one will be a lot more advanced, even though the next upcoming things are going to get really advanced, such as like how I said, items and objects and the hotbars, inventory systems. They're going to get really complicated, but that's just the end to this series. So that's coming up soon in the next few episodes or so. And then next series, we're going to do a lot of cool advanced stuff and tons of polishing to this to make this actually look more of like a real game instead of just like a skeleton to a game, if that makes sense to you guys. But that's it, guys. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Hopefully you guys were able to follow it along, and it worked out good for you guys. No errors, no issues. But if you did, like I said, comment those below, guys. I'll do my best to get back to you, give you any answers, give you any help, and whatever. Comment below also, guys, anything you guys would want to see in the future for these tutorials, or something that, you know, just sounds interesting and a cool concept that we could maybe put on here and show other people and something. Who knows? That's up to you guys, but thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe. I make sure to get these videos up as soon as possible and as soon as I can, almost weekly. Still fixing it a little bit. I apologize for that. I know sometimes there's delays to them, but I will try my best to be better. Thank you guys, though. Remember to be a legend, and I'll see you guys next time. So